Hey people, how you doing? Once again, Nate Raymond. Although I must say, I am getting much further along the journey than I ever did. And if you're watching this video, and whether this is the first video you've seen of me, or whether you've seen others, we can just quickly recap and how I could say essentially that since I was 7, I feel that there's been this journey that I've kind of been on, that I was introduced at a young age to an international population, and it happened at an ashram. And even the fact that there were these people in the world, and they were out, from all walks of life, uniting to raise their consciousness. However, these kinds of places we could visit, call it an ashram, call it a yoga center. People go there, but they're not meant for you to live there, right? They're meant for you to go, get the knowledge, and take it out into the world. And so that's essentially what I've done. However, there's also a struggle for you to find your identity and your individuality, and you have to do things that no one else is doing. Fast forward. Now we're at this time, 2022, and of course, with platforms like Facebook and YouTube, people are doing online marketing. And when it comes to that too, right, that's also very similar to a kind of a guru situation. And even these people, you call them marketing gurus. And with that, I would say that, there are, in very similar to the way yoga is, people are marketing gurus in that, you'll find a teacher. And when you find that teacher, you'll want that teacher to teach you. And when you're at a yoga, when I saw people, there was a guru at the yoga center I was introduced to when I was younger. And people treated this guru like this guru was God. And in many ways, this guru did have a divine presence, but the guru is also human. And when you're a human being and there's people that are worshiping you, there's a part of you that could take that to inflate your own ego. But if you're a true guru, there's a part of you that doesn't see that as your own greatness. You see it as sort of a responsibility, kind of a burden to bear. And so when people are adoring you and people are loving you, you're not saying to yourself, I'm great. You're saying, look, I'm bearing this role and people are loving me, but what they're really loving is the part of me that's reflecting their own divineness in them. And so this is what I want you to understand, is that, there's a part of me, right, that had to, of course, live my life, get married, have kids, be this person. But if I go out in the world and there's people that are resonating to me and loving me, there's not a part of me that's going to abandon the part of me that's married and has kids. There's a part of me, however, that does resonate with these people using word love, but ultimately reflecting it back to people so that they could become the divine source. It's just like the light of your candle can light other people's candles that are not yet lit. And that is what we do, because we are part of this collective awakening of people who are raising vibrations. And the authenticity becomes the value. And I think it runs, contrary to... Now look, there's an authenticity to influencers online who have millions of followers. That's authentic, no doubt. That's a responsibility. But it's a different responsibility when you're not out to get millions of followers. You're just here to get even one, right? One true, genuine connection. You have to deal with what you've been given, and based on how you handle it, more will be given. And you need to be now passing the tests and dealing with humility, the humble amounts that you have access to and work with that. Don't focus on what you don't have. Focus on what you do have. So what I have this situation. I'm creating a pitch deck because my situation, right? I've been looking at things like ClickFunnels online, doing these types of marketing. However, I don't feel it's as easy as going on Facebook, getting ClickFunnels, launching a funnel. And, a lot of that too has to do with the fact that, I do have a rare, type of value. But what I am looking for is like institutional investors. So when you have a pitch deck, and part of your pitch deck, right, you're talking about the overview, you're talking about the solution, but one thing you're talking about is traction. And when someone is going to ask you about what kind of traction you've been gaining, you might not say things like, oh, I'm married and have kids and that's the traction. But in my situation, it is the traction because in Japan, if I wasn't married and had kids, I wouldn't have the network of Japanese people to trust me. And so in this society, when marriage is going down, when people are not having kids, and we need to have this reasons like why you should be married, why you should be having kids, and how this is, as I'm talking about, this kind of humility of like, you want 1 million followers, but let me tell you, when you're trying to care for people, right, there's nothing more caring than, of course, if you're raising like a life, that you're changing diapers for, these kinds of things, right, like responsibilities that you're handling and people know you're managing them. So, and it's like if I tell people, what is your traction? Oh, well, I'm married and I have kids, and people don't see the value in that, then they don't see the value in that. And, you could explain it to them and make them see the value in it. And I will do that. I will make people see the value in that. However, if people don't see the value in it, you could be talking to these people who aren't married and don't have kids because they've been chasing the money. And, all right, no judgment, no hate about that, right? But they haven't learned the lessons, in a way, right? Because the children are the teachers, right? The marriage is the teaching, a guy who's not married and doesn't have kids, he's not learning these lessons. And there's some lessons people don't care to learn, right? Or it's just the situation I've had because I'm from America and I've had to live in Japan. I've had to play a bigger role in raising kids and being married, but this was my walk of life, So anyway, I want to talk about what your walk of life is. And of course, I'm going to care for you because I really have had those lessons. I'm going to make my pitch deck. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show you how we really see. It's like, the fact that I've had to go through this, from the ground up. But I'll get to a point where, when I do talk to you and I do invite you to collaborate, it's going to have everything where you're going to run with it. But if you consider our peer-to-peer exchange and a database behind that, right? And it's like we're going to be able to just serve people like nobody else can, and that's the level of control I've definitely fought for. But these are the vibrations that we're dealing with now with this like collective awakenings of the soul. So we're fit to like really be handling, taking control of this planet, and I don't see anybody who's stepping up in the way I want to, and I don't know if you see anybody stepping up in the way you want to, but you and I can have a conversation, and then it's like we both get to the point where we handle, right, the level of involvement we know there has to be for us to be successful. So anyway, we're getting towards that time, and no matter what's been done in the past, now's about the future. Now's about what we're going for. And, this is where the part gets good, I think. There's something that we can really fill, the void in. And if, what are you about? Are you ready to take control of this world? I really think we can, but it's not like too much control. Everybody needs to be the master of their own destiny, freedom. And so, but there's a way that, right, we could also, have our freedom, but have a collective understanding that we also need each other, and I need you, and I think you need me too, because what I've learned needs to be passed on. So let's do it. Take care.